Welcome back to the podcast. Justin Burgess here. This episode is very special to me. This is my Katrina story. And we all have a Katrina story. So it is 20 years since Hurricane Katrina, August 29th, 2005, and mine's a little different. So for those of you that are watching the video, I'm sitting in my car right now in Bucktown, Louisiana, or Bucktown, Metairie. Bucktown is just kind of what they call this part of Metairie, Louisiana, right on the New Orleans border. So I'm gonna hop out my car and kind of show y'all something. So many of you know my family owned Sid-Mar's restaurant for a very long time. So Bucktown right there. I'm gonna walk over to this little cool mural that they made. So as you can see right there, that's the mural of Sid-Mar's. So my grandpa was named Sidney and my grandma was named Marion. So that's how you got Sid-Mar's. We started in 1967 off of Harrison Avenue in Lakeview. Then after 5 years there, we ended up moving to Bucktown. We were outside the levee protection. I'm actually walking up the levee right now. So during Hurricane Katrina, we were not in a good situation. So I'm gonna put some pictures throughout this clip right here so you can see what it looked like before and after. I'm walking up the levee real quick. So this is the Coast Guard building that they built after Katrina. We're walking over to where Sid-Mar's used to be. So it's a little bit of a walk, but this is Bucktown. So New Orleans is over there where those condos right there. That's the 17th Street Canal. So that's actually where Hurricane Katrina, the hole that you see everywhere on the internet, that's where that's at, all the way over there. So I'm gonna stop right here. But Sid-Mar's was basically right where that grass is at, the little overgrown stuff. So that is the pumps that the city built after Katrina. So I'm gonna walk back over here. But we got Arno's right there. We got New Orleans Food and Spirits. That restaurant has been in and out for a couple years. It keeps getting renamed. But this is Bucktown. So put a nice little park over there too. Those condos have been there for forever. But we are walking back to the car. I'm gonna do the rest of this episode in the car so the audio is good and it's not as hot. But I wanted to take y'all to where Sid-Mar's was at and kind of just give you the story of my Katrina story. So let me get back. Overgrown grass. All right. We're off the levee. I'm gonna jump down. I'm gonna show you all this little artwork too. So they did this after, forgot how long after Katrina they did this, but all the different Bucktown places and restaurants and boats. Really cool artwork, but it's definitely a blessing to be included in that list. So let me hop back in the car. Whew, it's steamy. All right, let me put this camera up. Whew, it's hot. All right, so let's get back to the Katrina story. So like I mentioned, Sid-Mar's restaurant. So Grandpa Sidney, Grandma Marion, Sid-Mar's put it together. That's the business. Like I said, 1967 is when we first opened. And we were a very successful restaurant. And growing up, I was 14 years old when Hurricane Katrina hit. So like I said, it's the 20th anniversary. And it's just crazy that time has flown by like this. I mean, I dropped my kids off at school literally right there where I went to school. And that's the first time I've walked up there in 20 years. I think a part of me has always not wanted to go up there from a emotional perspective. Because it hurts, to be honest. It's something that, everybody lost their houses. You can rebuild a house. You can't rebuild a business. And the reason you can't rebuild a business is the state of Louisiana ended up taking our property due to eminent domain. So we got into a legal battle with the state over our property. So when Katrina hit, we always knew that any storm would be bad for us because we were outside the levee protection. So it was very common for us to experience, flooding, some damage for every storm. And every storm, my father and I would always go over there, with our shrimp boots, our waders, rain jackets, and make sure the generators are up and running. We literally lived 5 minutes away, so he would wake me up in the middle of the night, say, hey, I want to go check it. We would check it every 2-3 hours. And so we were prepared for, hey, this is not going to be good for us. We obviously weren't prepared for the rest of the city being the same and our property being down to the pylons. So I'll show you all some pictures as well. So there's a famous picture of my father sitting on the pylon and there's nothing behind him. And that picture, it's very emotional because the business was around for 30 plus years, and just to be taken like that, then you're like, okay, let's rebuild, just like the whole city's rebuilding, like the Superdome's rebuilding, and you can't because the state is basically saying, hey, we want your property to build the flood pumps that you just saw. And it's an awkward part. I was a 14-year-old, I really wasn't as smart, so it's like, now I'm just like, man, you want to put up a fight, but you're like, we need the pumps for the city, so it's just an awkward place to be in. But our point of view is we just wanted to be fairly compensated for the property, emotional pain and suffering, lost wages, and typically when they do eminent domain, they really don't give you, fair market value of the property, and it was a unique property. There's nothing that exists like that in the city. So back to the Katrina story. So I consider myself very blessed. We evacuated. We went to Destin, Florida first, and we ended up going to Disney World because my dad knew what situation we were in, and he's like, the best thing that we can do for the family is to get away, and what other place that we can go would be Disney World. I think we ended up getting free tickets to Disney World too because they saw that we were from New Orleans. And a lot of people were not blessed to be in that situation to evacuate in time and get to a safe place. But let's talk on the rebuilding side of Katrina. So I think my dad came back within 2 weeks and saw the property and saw that it wasn't in a good spot. And that's when he realized, look, it's going to be a while, so we need to figure out a long-term place to be in. My wife, on the other hand, she lived in New Orleans East, and her home was literally up to the pylons. They had, up to the roof. They had nothing left. We lived in a 2-story house in Metairie. Our bottom floor was basically, 2-3 feet of water, but at least we had all our stuff upstairs. We had our clothes, we had everything. She had nothing. So when I say like everybody has a unique Katrina story, people lost their homes. Some people didn't. People lost wedding pictures and stuff, but I think we're all back to a point of grateful. We're grateful that we're alive. We're grateful that, we have the things that we have now. People lost businesses. People lost family members. It's just different when you don't have the opportunity to rebuild. And that's what I'm upset by, is that my life has completely changed from I thought I was going to be a business owner, going to be a restaurant operator and continue the legacy of the family. And I don't have that ability to do that anymore because of that situation. But I'm also blessed on the other side, is because I do love my insurance career and I love what I can do for my employer clients. And I love the freedom and flexibility that it gives me for my family, because I know when you're running a business and you're running a restaurant specifically, you don't have the time and the luxury to spend time with your family. So it's a catch-22. But, the business was very, very fruitful. A lot of the relationships that I have are from the restaurant. Because I went to St. Louis King of France in Metairie, literally right there. And I would walk over, or my dad would go pick me up from school. 3 o'clock comes around, eat a fried shrimp sandwich on bunny bread. And, the cracker guy would come by, the Ritz crackers and stuff. And he would always give me the cookies because they would have the cookies too. And I just remember those kind of things. And the beer guy, the Coke guy. It's just like we kind of all grew up together. And my grandma would sit at the bar and she had her spot. And, when I'm doing business now, people are like, oh, you were Sid-Mar. I'm like, oh, I used to see your grandma every day, at her spot. And that was like your routine, your legacy. So the point of this episode was really just to reflect on Katrina, with it being 20 years. And the other side of it was, I want to show my employer clients and prospects and people out in the community, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, that we all have a different story. We all have something unique to share. Um, we we think about Katrina a lot because we see all the memorials. There's a couple documentaries floating out on the internet. Um, I think of Steve Gleason's punt all the time because that was one of the first games we went to after Katrina, and so emotional watching that video every couple of years because I see it get replayed on TikTok and Instagram as that play was the moment we all realized that the city was back. And I'm wearing sunglasses because I don't want to get emotional talking about it. But we were back, and that's something that I remember that play vividly. I remember where we were at sitting. I remember going to the game. I remember going to the concert before, getting off of school early, and just that was the moment that the city was back. And obviously when the Saints won the Super Bowl, that was another moment that the city went through so much stuff. And to be back in that situation where we're on top, it was like really, really cool. And obviously the city has continued to gone through a lot of different things over the last 20 years. But the one thing I tell people about the city of New Orleans and then people from this community, we're resilient. We fight back. We don't say no. Like if we're waiting on government help, we're going to fix it ourselves. We're going to rebuild. And, Katrina was a once in a generational storm. Do I think we'll ever have a Hurricane Katrina again? Possibly. Do I think people will be a little bit more prepared? Yeah. Back in the day, you just weren't as prepared for hurricanes as you are now. And you don't have the advanced metrics and warning systems in place to know in advance. And I think people now are, with me having 2 young kids, like I can survive with a power outage, but it's hard for a child to survive without a power outage and put them in comfortable situations. But I'm blessed to be in the situation that I am now. I'm thankful that I went through that stage in life where I got to learn a lot, watching my father grow a business. Also got to learn the failures and other stuff throughout the way because I didn't really get into after Katrina, we ended up opening another restaurant in Metairie, and it just didn't go well with the BP oil spill, divorce. But this episode's not about that. It's about Hurricane Katrina. But the journey of Hurricane Katrina is just something that people just don't realize. And I wanted this podcast to just be this wasn't scripted. I just click record, put up the camera, and I just want to talk. And got a lot of thoughts going on in my head right now. But like I said, the one thing that I'm thankful for is that surrounded by good people in my life, my good wife, my 2 kids, and I have a good support system around me. A lot of people, when you go through something like that, you just don't have good people around you. You don't have a good support system. But now that I know what to do in the event of a catastrophe like that, I'm a little bit more prepared and a little bit more level-headed. My father was a little stubborn, and we would always stay for storms. And I think now it's just like the risk reward is not worth it to stay. So I appreciate y'all for listening this long. Thank y'all for letting me share this story. To all my employer clients out there watching, look, I want to be your consultant. And the reason I want to be your consultant is that I'm different. I'm built different. I'm wired different. I act like a business owner, even though I'm not technically. It's just how I've always been wired for my father. And I want to show you that we can design benefit plans that are different than the average consultant out there. And we're doing that through transparency and advocacy. That's the 2 things. And, people are going to talk about a local business. Yeah, like we're local, I'm local. But honestly, I want my reach to be national. I want my reach to be, being one of the top brokers in the country. And I think people want to work with people that are relatable. And every business owner has gone through a struggle in their business. And we had Katrina, we had BP oil spill. You may have had the California fires, or you may have had, we all had COVID, so we all operated during that. But you get the point, is that running a successful business comes with its challenges. and you got to be strong and a good head on your shoulder to get through those challenges. So that's the goal of me of trying to share my story, is that I want to show people that I'm more than just a salesperson looking for a paycheck. I want to be your partner for your business. So that's it. Thank you for watching. Take care. Cheers.